This is the Atari 7800 Plus. It's a brand new console from Atari that plays original 7800 and 2600 cartridges. Atari very generously sent me this thing with no strings attached and no caveats for what I can and can't do with it. We're gonna take it apart, so stay tuned. And if you enjoy the thrill of a freshly voided warranty, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel. The Atari 7800 Plus here is an official Atari product, released by Atari Interactive Inc. in 2024. But the company, much like this hardware, shares very little with its namesake from the 70s and 80s. The original Atari went bust in 1984 in the aftermath of the video game market crash. After this, the company and its trademark was bought, sold, chopped up, and reconstituted numerous times. Namco, Hasbro, mergers and reverse mergers. I don't even know what that means. But the Atari of today has apparently come full circle, reviving the Atari brand to capitalize on an unending amount of nostalgia and enthusiasm for retro gaming, and releasing some actually really compelling products. This new and improved Atari first came onto my radar when my friend Control-Alt-Reese did a video about his Atari 2600 Plus, the predecessor to this machine, which he legitimately purchased to actually play games on. He's done excellent reviews of both that machine and this new 7800 Plus, so I'll link those videos down below because they're well worth a watch. And it also means that I don't have to waste time reviewing this thing. We can just rip right into it. All right, before we butcher this thing, I guess we should take a look at it first. It's designed to look just like the original Atari 7800, just a hair smaller. On the front here we have power pause, select, reset. We have two game ports, which work with the original controllers and also with these wireless 2.4 gigahertz controllers, which plug right into the front like this. I believe the retail version comes with one controller. Generously, they have provided me with two controllers, and these can also hook up with a USB adapter to your computer. Around back here, the most important thing, we have HDMI out and a 16:9 and 4:3 switch, so you can do widescreen or original aspect ratio, and then USB-C power. And honestly, I think these are a really cool product, especially for the price. I mean, they're doing what every enthusiast dreams of doing. They're taking modern components and building a seamless, well, nearly seamless, retro experience that can go into modern hardware. You know, it's easy to boot up a Raspberry Pi and play an emulator through that, but this looks the part, feels the part, functions like the part, even though it's using all new components. So I'm totally on board with this kind of product, and I hope more companies release stuff like this. Hey Atari, why don't you do this for the Atari Jaguar? And here's a really nice touch. Even the HDMI and USB cables are Atari branded. Okay, I have this thing hooked up to a modern HDMI monitor, which has HDMI audio. Let's try Ninja Golf. I think I'm going to unscrew the little controller nub here. Oh yeah, this is Ninja Golf. Oh, I forgot to aim it. Crap. All right, let's try it with an original game. Here's Combat for the Atari 2600. This machine, like the original 7800, is backwards compatible. All right, let's go digging for PCBs. Speaking of PCBs, have you heard about PCBWay, the wonderful sponsor of today's video? PCBWay is a one-stop solution for all of your PCB assembly and fabrication needs. Do you need to prototype something, build a run of a project? I bet PCBWay can handle the whole thing, the whole way through. PCB prototyping starts at just $5 for 10 pieces with as little as a 24-hour turnaround. And boy, do they offer a lot of different options. Flex PCB, Rigid Flex, HDI PCBs, every solder mask color under the sun, and they even offer PCB assembly, through-hole and surface mount, done at the factory. And that starts at just $29 for 1 to 20 pieces. The low pricing and ease of ordering has made PCBWay the preferred vendor for many in the retro community for many years. So if you have any PCB or prototyping needs, I hope you'll give PCBWay.com a try. All right, this seems easy enough to get into. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Phillips head screws. It's time to void the warranty, cause they don't mean a thing to me. And even if I break it, I ain't gonna sweat it, cause it's content. Ooh, 3 PCBs for us to manhandle. So as I understand it, this board is simply a ROM dumper with a low-powered system on a chip. It dumps the ROM to this, which is actually a single-board rock chip computer. And I think this also provides power over this ribbon cable here. So let's, well, gently take this apart. So here we go, the guts of the Atari, 3 rather nice looking PCBs. I see that there are some interesting features to the motherboard computer PCB, such as looks like you could have an SD card slot on here. And there is a micro USB port here, which I wonder if that's used for programming this thing. Let's just gently coax this heatsink off. Looks like it's just stuck on there with sticky compound. And there we go, our rock chip system on a chip. This is a quad-core ARM Cortex A7 MP, an order of magnitude more powerful than the original Atari 7800. This Hynix chip here appears to be 256 megs of RAM, and here we have some Kioxia solid-state storage, which I do wonder if we plug this thing in via the micro USB, will that let us access this storage? Okay, so check this out. If I plug in micro USB to the port that's usually hidden inside the case, I hold down the recover button and then plug it into Windows 11 here. It makes the USB connection sound, and then it says USB device not recognized. And then if I just plug it in without holding that button down, and then hit the recover button, check it out, the thing boots up. Neat. Yeah, I was kind of hoping that we could get in to see the file system on this thing, because this is running Linux. And boy do I love things that run Linux. This is actually running 2 different open source emulators to actually play the games. The ROM dumper board dumps the ROM, and then depending on which kind of ROM it is, it loads it into either Pro System for Atari 7800 or Stella for Atari 2600. And of course, while it would be fun to try to hack some other emulators onto here or something, that kind of defeats the purpose of this device, because this isn't like one of those cheap all-in-one consoles with built-in ROMs. This is meant to be a modern replacement to play your original games on. Yeah, what an absolutely delightful mix of new, low-cost hardware to play old-school games in a modern, convenient way. And here's why I think this is so freaking cool. If somebody was selling this collection of boards, a ROM dumper, a system on a chip flashed with emulators, and an I/O board that can take original hardware and controllers as a kit project, people will be all over this thing as an incredible piece of retro gaming gear. But Atari has taken it one step further and built a really lovely recreation shell for it. And I just think the whole thing together really hits the mark. And Atari is not paying me at all to say this, but it's relatively inexpensive, really well made, and does what's on the tin. So that is the new Atari 7800 Plus. And Atari, I am very sorry for abusing your lovely little box here. Thank you very much for sending this to me. And I think it's passed the most important test of all. It still works. And I am definitely going to make room for this in my living room, right next to my PlayStation 5, because believe it or not, I really do love playing some of these old games. I drive a mean 10-pixel tank. In any event, I'll link to this thing down in the description below, but if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more weird stuff like this, please subscribe down below, and thank you very much for watching. And I just want to give a very special thank you to all of my Patreon supporters and channel members. Thank you so much, each and every one of you, for supporting me and supporting this channel and all the weird stuff I do. I am so very grateful, and I just could not do this without you.